Welcome in and welcome back. We have a little bit of news on the Star Wars front for sure, but tertiarily a little bit on the Marvel front as well, as Kevin Feige has tapped Michael Waldron to pen his Star Wars movie. Waldron is credited with the written by tag for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, as well as a writer and producer for the Loki series. He's credited with writing one episode of Rick and Morty, with which I am not particularly familiar, besides to note that I understand the cartoon is extremely popular and well loved with the cult that has developed around it. And apparently we got a McDonald's sauce because of the return of the Szechuan sauce. Is that what it was from Mulan? I remember getting the Szechuan sauce walking to the Walmart that was next to my house when I was a kid, and we would get McDonald's there. He's also a credited producer on 10 episodes of Rick and Morty. And beyond that, he has an additional crew credit from the show Community. Now, I have already mused once or twice on the channel, notably on the Disney Investor Day reaction to the Star Wars portion of things, that I think what is happening is that Kevin Feige is going to helm the Thrawn initiative, sort of like the Avengers initiative, which will be the culmination of all of the Disney Plus characters coming together. Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, the Rangers of the New Republic, Cara Dune, apparently in her interview with Drunk 3PO. She made sure that he knows it is Cara Dune, not Cara. As well as possibly Bo-Katan, I am not sure. I think that this is going to be that type of initiative, and that is what Kevin Feige is going to be helming. And when you really look at things from an outside perspective, you also remember the first Avengers. You have Loki as a plant from Thanos. We have Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Thanos seat, if you will. But we also have Moff Gideon, who is currently being held by our good guys, that might prove to be a Loki-type individual. I think that here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I keep coming back to with this. We got no announcement for this at the Disney Investor Day Star Wars portion, in the Star Wars portion of the Disney Investor Day announcements. Why didn't we? There's no reason that they could not have said, hey, also, we've got Kevin Feige doing this thing. I think that part of it was because of the ego with Kathleen Kennedy. Not anything against Kathleen Kennedy, not saying that, but Kathleen Kennedy was presenting her own side of things while Kevin Feige was presenting his own side of things. So why would she want to introduce him in her portion of things? That's a bit sticky. But I think it leads into something else. I think that Kathleen Kennedy has no say over this, so she would refuse to say anything about it, because it proves that she does not have any power over the Star Wars side of things, which has long been rumored. If she were to have introduced Kevin Feige, or the idea of Kevin Feige helming his own Star Wars project, that would have seriously undermined her role in Lucasfilms. But I think there's something else at play. I really do. Because if you are Bob Chapek, you get her on their phone and you tell her, hey, you say this. I don't care about your fee-fees. I think what was really going on there is that this Kevin Feige project is bigger than it seems. I think Kevin Feige is not helming, producing a movie. Why do you announce the producer of a movie? I think he's producing a trilogy. I think that the Thrawn initiative will be a trilogy of movies. And what is going to have to happen for this to be the case is that Kevin Feige is going to have to start grooming an heir apparent for Marvel. Not because he's leaving for Star Wars. He's not going to be there full time. But I think that he's going to be taking the role, which was, what was the fella's name? The head of all Disney movies. I think Kevin Feige is being groomed for that position. So he's going to have to start grooming a second at Marvel Studios, which is very interesting because Marvel has not had the structure in that way which Star Wars has. Think of it. 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and I'm not saying anything before The Mandalorian. The movies had no structure, okay? No structure passing on from movie to movie even, which I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not here for that right now. But when you look at The Mandalorian, there seems to be a whole lot of training going on. People directing something for the first time. Dave Filoni getting his live-action directorial debut. You have all sorts of individuals getting their first shot in the director chair. Individuals who seem to be being groomed for larger roles, larger positions, being groomed to do more and more things. That hasn't really happened at Disney or at Marvel. So, from whence will this come? I am wondering if there is going to simply be a hierarchy that is sort of instituted in the same way it seems like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are taking Star Wars over from Kathy Kennedy. She's still the head of Lucasfilm. She'll still have things to do with Willow. She'll still have things to do with Children of Blood and Bone, I think it's called. She'll still have things to do with Indiana Jones. I don't think she's allowed to touch the Star Wars properties that are going to be considered canon of canon. How much creativity is left? How much time is left from Jon Favreau? He seems pleased as punch to be playing in the world of Star Wars. Would he rather be playing in the world of Marvel? Or would he rather be in Star Wars? Because Dave Filoni certainly seems to be home only with Star Wars. I think that at one point in time, it would have seemed that Joss Whedon would have been the natural choice to take the second in command from Kevin Feige. That does not seem any longer to be the case. I don't know where Joss Whedon is or what he's doing besides having verbal tussles with Cyborg. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on with the fact that the Kevin Feige movie was not announced at the Star Wars Investor Day. But here's the big thing to keep in mind. It was not announced then, which was only weeks ago. Only weeks ago, we heard nothing about this property. And now, we have a named writer in connection with Kevin Feige. You cannot convince me, there was nothing that you can say to convince me that this property was so mysterious and so questionable just a couple weeks ago that they had nothing which they could announce then, that now they already know enough and have gone through negotiations to have named a contracted writer for the project. So there's something weird going on there for sure. You might say, but we didn't get the announcement of Boba Fett at the Investor Day either. But that's because Boba Fett was being announced a couple days later as a surprise, as a tag scene onto the last episode of The Mandalorian. I am not going to go so far as to promote the idea that it is troubling that this property was not announced at Investor Day. But I will say that it seems there is much to do behind the scenes and there's a lot being figured out on the fly. We also didn't really get an announcement of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Not really, because the date which was given seems to coincide more with the Book of Boba Fett than it does with The Mandalorian debuting in December 2021, unless the Book of Boba Fett is less than 4 episodes, because it seems that Disney is very fond of the dropping once per week format that they have taken with The Mandalorian, as opposed to binging everything like people do on Netflix. Every episode has its moment to get its shine. So because the Book of Boba Fett will be debuting in December of 2021, not wrapping up, debuting, you have 4, possibly 5. I haven't looked at how many Fridays there are in December of 2021. You have 4, possibly 5 weeks to debut and conclude the series and then begin Mandalorian Season 3? I don't know. But that is all I have as far as thoughts on Kevin Feige tapping Michael Waldron to pin his Star Wars movie, other than the fact that it seems to vet confidence in both Loki and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Because if Kevin Feige is wanting to work with this guy on a 3rd property, he must have done something well the first 2 times. That is all I have for this time. I hope to see you back Monday for another video.